attitude,
Yeah.
it reflects on you. So I try to avoid negativity because you sort of go downhill. What is your view on
of course. Oh gosh, I'm all for positive vibrations. You know, I think one of the things is we live in an era of mindfulness. So we've, in the last few years, probably in the last decade, but even more so now, there's a focus toward mindfulness and that sense of meditation and so forth. I think that's really important. The idea of being present in the moment, the idea of finding something that enables you to facilitate your anxiety, decrease the anxiety. I'm one for taking time out and space as well, because I can keep on working and just look at the watch.
Fall flat.
Yeah, exactly. Fall flat. So this idea of, pacing myself, saying it's okay. And I'm a bit of a person that likes organisation. So I have a lot of mind mapping, physical stuff to see. Because don't you think that working on the computer is always looking at the screen for your answers?
Yeah.
And there's this Zoom fatigue that I'm going through at the moment, and a lot of people who are working go through. So I like a lot of mapping on paper.
Right.
Writing down. I'll tell you what I have done. I've created a sheet dedicated to mental hurdles. So if there's anything in my mind that I can't answer, that is troubling me, I write it down. And I've started then writing down how I'm going to solve it. So I've given myself, I think that's self-care there.
Writing things down does help.
Yeah.
Because I had a class a couple of weeks ago, and one of my teachers was saying to us that, if you get angry all the time, what you should do is write down your how you're feeling every hour. So write down your emotion every hour, and do that for 7 days. And after 7 days, you'll be able to see what type of a person you are. Are you always angry? Are you always crying? Are you always happy? And then you can start building changes into your life according to how you see yourself on a piece of paper.
But also, if you get the 2 pieces of A4 paper, you put one negative, one positive, and then you write down the negativity and one sheet and the positive. You should end up having more positive than negative, so that can release it.
Yeah, absolutely. So this mental hurdle thing that I do, the fact that I've written how I may be able to overcome it or who to ask about it is an achievement in itself. So that gives me that impetus, and I feel good about it, and I carry on with it. I think that's something I've learned over the years, especially more so when I've been with Self Help UK. It's finding, and I meet so many different people from different groups that you learn so much from them yourselves.
Definitely. Okay, so we've got to go to a commercial break, Pam. So we'll come back after the break and we'll talk about social prescribing, International Women's Day, and UN Anti-Racism Day.
Yes.
Pam, can we go to the break?
Yes, dear.
Thank you.
I stopped thinking now.
And welcome back to the Happy Empathy Hour. I forgot to say happy.
We'll have to get used to it.
I know, we have to get used to all this happiness. Welcome back, Pam. And if anyone wants to call in and join our conversation with Shazia here today from Self Help UK, you can call us on 0115 8411 800 and 0115 8411 900. So carrying on with the conversation, Shazia, welcome back.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Social prescribing.
Yeah.
What is it? What does it mean?
It's quite straightforward. It comes out of this idea of how to address the sort of social detriments of health, and in particular isolation.
Okay.
So there's a massive knowledge around the detriments of isolation, but traditionally they weren't recognised in healthcare provision. So if we take, for example, the healthcare service in itself and on a standalone, it's a place that someone goes to get a fix of something, but it doesn't fix isolation.
Right.
And isolation plays a very big part in people's mental well-being and physical well-being. I think it's it's really important to understand what that means, because when I was actually, researching and reading up and knowing a bit more, I found that from studies, they found that if you have few social relationships, the mortality rate is high. So those people that don't have that many relationships in their life die earlier. That's what they call the loneliness epidemic.
Wow.
So more than
That's
average
really
people. Yeah. So there's that aspect. Another aspect is social isolation and loneliness. Actually, the threats are far greater than that of smoking and obesity.
But also, though, some people like to be on their own. Yeah, and they find it quite happy being on their own.
Yeah,
so really,
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I like it on my own.
Well.
I don't like being around too many people unless I invite them. Yeah, and that's our choice.
Yeah,
and if you're used to having loads and loads of people around you and friends and family every day, weekend, it's a group of you, and that's gone, then it's going to start getting lonely because you miss that. And if your children, they grow up and leave home and making a life, you find out you're on your own again. So there's loneliness as well and social.
Yeah, of course. I think the choice element's very key, what you said there. There's people who don't choose to be isolated, who are lonely. And as a community, we're made to be together. There's a symbiosis that takes place. I don't know if you've ever seen trees and the plants and things like that. They have an underground symbiosis going on. There's connections, there's communications, they're feeding each other, and it's not visible. And I suppose that's the same with it's the same process.
I guess even when you want to be more alone, there's only so much of being alone you can do as well, because
potentially
you're going to have to go out and do certain actions and all that kind of thing. So there is still going to be connections with people, maybe not to the extent that we're talking about here, but people who like being alone still have to make some sort of a connection to the world and to the people.
Yeah, and I guess this is what that social prescribing was saying, the idea of, stimulation. So the idea of deterioration in cognitive processes, you can get stimulation from TV, but how good is that compared to stimulation with other individuals? And this sense of it exacerbates chronic sort of conditions.
Okay, so we do have a call, so we're just going to take the call and see who's on the phone. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Oh, it's Nimana. How are you, Nimana?
Alhamdulillah.
I haven't heard from you for a while on our show.
Yeah, it's been busy now.
Are you getting ready to go back to college?
Actually, speaking of that, I had an email from my teacher yesterday. I'm actually not going back to college till after the Eid holidays.
Oh, fantastic. Lucky you.
I'm not so lucky though, because my brother gets to go back on Monday though. All my friends are going back on Monday as well. So it's like...
Oh, well, never mind. You've got a few more weeks off, so enjoy it. So, Nimana, do you want to say anything about the show today? Do you want to ask Shazia anything, or you want to make a point?
Hi, Nimana.
Hi. I actually kind of have a question in my head.
Okay.
How can you stay motivated during these lockdown periods? Like looking at the screen, for so long, and because I use Google Meet for my lessons, just very hard, just to keep on motivation and that.
How to stay motivated in terms of constantly being on the screen, yeah?
Yeah.
Shazia, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, sure. I'll give you a tip that I use. I take regular breaks and try and get myself outside for walks. And
a bit of fresh air.
Yeah, a bit of fresh air, taking your eyes off something other than the screen. I think that might be a way of helping to get rid of those sort of fogginess, that eye fog and that mental fog.
Okay, so I think we have Addy in the studio now as well. I think Addy wants to answer the question, Nimana.
Do you mind, sister?
No, we're sharing the platform. Let's do it. Let's give Nimana some answers.
First of all, assalamu alaikum. How are you, little sister?
Walaikum assalam.
Okay. Sorry, just bear. There's a second. Okay.
Addie's just walked in the studio, and obviously the headphones don't go all the way.
Yeah. Okay. So can you hear me now?